I asked my boyfriend for some time off to be sure I wanted to marry him. Now he is canceling the wedding because I slept with my ex. It is not fair. I love him. I'm sitting on the floor of my apartment, surrounded by boxes of wedding decorations that arrived this morning. Ironic, right? My fiancé, Luis, just left after telling me he needs to reconsider everything, and all because of a misunderstanding, because of his inability to understand a logical decision I made for the good of our future. Luis and I have been together for 5 years. He is the perfect man. Seriously, if you designed him in a lab, he would come out. He is a doctor, he is kind, he is patient, he has an incredible sense of humor, and he adores me. From the beginning, our relationship has been easy, a smooth and sunny path. We moved in together, we traveled, we became that stable couple that all our friends admire and envy. 6 months ago, he asked me to marry him. It was a dream proposal, in a vineyard at sunset. Of course, I said yes. We started planning the wedding, a beautiful celebration for next fall. Everyone was delighted. My parents adore him. His parents adore me. We were the happy ending of a fairy tale. But as the date approached, as the decisions became more real, the venue, the dress, the guest list, a silent panic began to grow in me. It was not doubts about Luis. I loved him. I love him with all my heart. It was doubts about me. Luis was my first and only truly serious relationship. Before him, I only had a chaotic and passionate relationship in college with a guy named Daniel. Daniel was my polar opposite, an impulsive, unstable artist, the kind of love that burns you, but you cannot let go. We broke up because we were unsustainable, but a part of me always stayed with him, and the what if. And now, about to commit for life to the most stable and good man in the world, the ghost of Daniel, and of that chaotic passion, began to haunt me. Was I making the right decision? Was I choosing security over passion? Could I be a good wife to Luis if a small part of me still wondered about the path not taken? It was not fair to Luis to enter into a marriage with a woman who had these doubts. It was not fair to me. I needed to be 100% sure. I needed to close that chapter of my past once and for all so I could open the one of my future with Luis, with a clean heart. So a month ago, I had the hardest conversation of my life with Luis. I explained my fears, my doubts. I told him I loved him, but I needed to be sure for both of us. I asked him for some time, not a breakup, some time, a few weeks to clear my head, to be alone and make sure that the yes I gave him at the altar was the most certain and convinced in the world. It was an act of radical honesty, an attempt to protect our future marriage from any lingering doubts. Luis's reaction to my request for some time was exactly what I expected from the good and patient man he is. He was visibly hurt, confused. "Do you doubt me, us?" he asked me, and it broke my heart to see the hurt in his eyes. "No, Luis, I do not doubt you," I assured him, taking his hands. "I doubt myself, my own ability to be the wife you deserve if I do not resolve this first. This is not about you. It is about closing a door to my past so I can enter ours without baggage. Please, you have to understand me. It is an act of love towards our future. We established the rules for the time off. It would not be an official breakup. We would continue with the wedding plans. We would not cancel anything. Simply, I would move into my old apartment, which luckily was empty and belonged to my aunt, for a month. We would not see each other, we would hardly talk. It would be a reset, a space for me to find myself. He reluctantly and with a heavy heart agreed. "I trust you," he told me. "Take the time you need." And I, in my mind, took that trust as permission. The purpose of this time was not simply to think. It was an active experiment. How could I know if I missed Luis if I did not explore the alternative? How could I close the chapter on Daniel if I did not reread it one last time? I did not plan it maliciously, but deep down I knew what I had to do. A week after moving into my temporary apartment, I contacted Daniel. I told him I was in town for a while, that I was going through a complicated time. We went for coffee, and it was strangely easy to fall back into our old dynamic. The chemistry was still there, the conversation flowed, the intensity was the same. That night we ended up in my apartment and yes, we slept together, but, and this is the most important thing, it was not an act of infidelity. In my mind, The rules of monogamy were on pause. We were on a break, and the purpose of that break was precisely to resolve this doubt. What I did was research, a field test, and the test was a resounding success. The night with Daniel was exactly as I remembered it. Passionate, chaotic, and ultimately empty. Waking up the next morning next to him, I did not feel a spark of rekindled love. I felt a deep and overwhelming certainty. I did not want this. I did not want the drama, the instability. I wanted Luis's calm. I wanted his smile, his patience, the security of his love. The experiment had worked perfectly. The doubt that had been gnawing at me for months evaporated in a single night. Now I was 100% sure. The ghost of Daniel had been exorcised forever, and I was ready to go home to Luis and be the best wife in the world, with my heart completely clean and without a single shadow of a doubt. I told Daniel that it had been a mistake, a necessary closure, and I asked him not to contact me again. He, used to our drama, accepted it, and I, feeling lighter and more certain than ever, prepared to end my time off ahead of schedule and return to the man I truly loved, armed with the certainty I had sought so much. I called Luis the next day, 2 weeks before our month of time off was supposed to end. I know now I told him over the phone, my voice full of genuine joy and certainty. I have no more doubts. I choose you. It has always been you. Can I come home? I heard his sigh of relief on the other end of the line. Of course, my love. I have missed you so much. Come home. I returned that same afternoon. Our reunion was emotional. We hugged for minutes. There were tears, kisses. It felt like the perfect end to a crisis that, in my opinion, had strengthened our relationship. He was happy and relieved to have me back. I was happy and sure of my choice. That night, snuggled in our bed, I felt it was the moment for total honesty. The honesty that, according to my logic, would cement our future on a foundation of unbreakable truth. Luis, I want you to know how real this was for me, I began, my voice soft. And for you to understand how sure I'm now, I need to tell you exactly how I arrived at this certainty. He listened to me attentively, stroking my hair. I saw Daniel, I told him I needed to do it. I needed to face that ghost once and for all. I saw a flash of discomfort in his eyes, but I continued, sure that the end of the story would justify the means. And I spent a night with him. I felt his body tense next to mine. He moved away a little so he could look me in the face. What do you mean you spent a night with him? I slept with him, I said with as much calm and sincerity as I could muster, and it was the best decision I could have made for us, because the moment it happened, I knew it was not what I wanted. I knew that the passion I thought I missed was nothing compared to the love I feel for you. It was like an allergy test. I needed to expose myself to the allergen one last time to confirm that I'm immune, and I'm cured, Luis. Thanks to that night, I'm 100% sure that I want to spend the rest of my life with you and only with you. I said it with a smile, hoping he would understand the metaphor, hoping he would see the logic, that he would appreciate the fact that I had conducted an empirical test to guarantee the quality of our future. But the expression on his face was not one of understanding, it was one of horror. He got out of bed as if it were burning. Allergy test, he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. You slept with your ex-boyfriend and you call it an allergy test? It is a metaphor, Luis, I exclaimed, sitting up in bed. I'm trying to make you understand the process. It was an act of research, not infidelity. We were on a break. Technically, we were not together. Technically, he shouted, and it was the first time I had heard him shout like that. I was not technically single, Sophia. I was here waiting for you, counting the days until you came home. I was respecting our time off, which was supposed to be for you to think, not for you to sleep with the only man you have always worried about. But that was the point, I cried, frustrated by his inability to see my logic. I had to do it to stop worrying. I did it for you, for us. He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the good and patient man crumble, replaced by a stranger with a broken heart. No, Sophia, you did not do it for me, you did it for you, and in the process you have destroyed everything we had. I gave you my trust, I gave you your space, and you used it to betray me in the worst possible way. I did not understand, I could not. I was offering him absolute certainty, an invaluable gift, and he could only see the wrapping, the method, and not the content. He was being completely irrational, completely immature. The argument continued, but it was no longer a conversation. It was a monologue of his pain against a monologue of my logic. I asked you for some time to think, Sophia, he would say, pacing around the room, to be alone. I did not give you a free pass to go on a reunion tour with your exes. It was not a tour, it was one night, I would reply. One night that has saved us from years of doubts. You cannot see the long-term benefit. I have sacrificed the image of a perfect girl to give you an absolute truth. He stopped and looked at me with an expression of pure disbelief. Sacrificed? Do you think this has been a sacrifice for you? I gave you my blind trust, and you used it to justify sleeping with another man. That is not a sacrifice, it is the definition of selfishness. I tried to use our language, the language of logic and reason that we had always shared. Okay, let us analyze it, I said, trying to keep my tone calm. Premise: we had a latent doubt in our relationship. Objective: to eliminate that doubt before the wedding. Method: a time for introspection and resolution. Result: doubt eliminated. Certainty obtained. Conclusion: the method, although unorthodox, was successful and achieved the objective. The mission was a success. My logical breakdown only seemed to infuriate him more. This is not a math problem, Sophia. It is my life, it is my heart, he shouted. You cannot reduce betrayal to a formula. The result you seem so proud of is that now I know that for you our engagement was negotiable, that your love for me was something that needed to be tested against an old lover. And I do not want a love that needs to be compared. I want a love that simply is. That night, for the first time in the 5 years we had been together, he did not sleep in our bed. He took a pillow and a blanket and went to the couch. The next morning, when I woke up, he had already gone to work. He left me a note in the kitchen. I need to think for real, not on the couch, but far from here. I'm going to stay at my brother's house for a few days. Do not call me. I will call you when I'm ready. And so, my triumphant return home, my return as the sure and doubt-free fiancé had turned into an exile. I had left to find certainty, and upon returning, the only thing I had achieved was to introduce the greatest doubt of all into the heart of the man I loved. But even then, in the midst of my panic, a part of me still clung to logic. He was just in shock, he was reacting emotionally. When he calmed down, when he analyzed the facts, he would see that I was right. He would see that my experiment had been a success. He had to see it, because the alternative, that my act of love be interpreted as the final nail in the coffin of our relationship, was simply too illogical to be true. Luis was at his brother's house for a week of silent torture for me. I sent him text messages trying to explain my logic again, breaking it down into points to make it easier to understand. There was no response. Finally, he came back. Not to stay. He came to pick up the rest of his clothes. He was calm, resigned. There was no longer anger in his eyes, only a deep and exhausted sadness. I have made a decision, Sophia, he told me bluntly. I cannot marry you. The wedding is cancelled. The sentence, although I expected it, hit me like a physical blow. Why? I whispered, although I already knew the answer he was going to give me. Why can you not get over your pride? Why can you not accept that my method worked? He shook his head. No, Sophia, it is because your method has shown me that we do not love each other in the same way. I loved you in a way that did not need to be tested. You loved me in a way that needed a comparison. And I cannot live with that fundamental difference. Every time I looked at you, I would wonder when the next time you would need to clear your doubts would be. That is unfair, I cried. I gave you absolute certainty. I gave you a gift. The gift of a wife who is 100% sure. And you are punishing me for it. It is not a gift if to get it you had to break everything, he replied. I love you, Sophia. But thus, that I loved was based on a trust that you yourself have shown you did not share. And I cannot marry a memory. And that was it. He took his things and left. He left me in our apartment with a wedding dress in the closet and a certainty that is now useless. So here I'm, heartbroken, but also furious. Furious at his immaturity. Furious at his inability to see the big picture. I did the dirty work. I faced the ghost of the past to secure our future. And now that the future is secure and free of doubts, he decides he does not want it. It is not fair. I love him, and I proved it in the most logical and definitive way possible. I put my feelings to the test, and he came out on top, and yet I have lost. How can that be logical? How can it be fair that the love I feel now, stronger and more certain than ever, is not enough for him? Popular comments from Reddit. Anonymous user 1 says, OP, your logic is a labyrinth of self-deception from which it seems you cannot escape. You did not give him a gift, you gave him a betrayal wrapped in justification paper. Taking a break, for most people, means introspection, not going to sleep with an ex. You used the trust he placed in you as an alibi to do exactly what you wanted to do. The experiment was not a success, it was a catastrophe that revealed your true nature. He is not canceling the wedding because of immaturity, he is canceling it because he has a backbone and refuses to marry someone who resolved her doubts in another man's bed. Yes, you're the one to blame. OP's response. Self-deception is called being proactive. What was I supposed to do? Sit and meditate and wait for a divine sign. I took the bull by the horns and solved the problem. And it was not an alibi, it was the purpose of the time off. How can you be sure of something if you do not test the alternative? It is the basic scientific method. Anonymous user 2 says, I put my feelings to the test and he came out on top. No, sweetie, you put his love and his trust to the test, and he, upon learning the truth, decided it was not worth it. He did not win anything, he lost everything. He lost the woman he thought you were. Anonymous user 3 says, the most ironic part is that you really believe you love him. If you truly loved him, the idea of sleeping with another man to test your feelings would have been physically repulsive to you. Love does not need an allergy test. Love is the reason you stay away from the allergen in the first place. He is not immature. You are the one who does not understand what true love is. OP's response. Of course I understand what love is, and precisely because I understand it, I wanted to make sure it was 100% real and without doubts. Do you prefer a marriage full of what-ifs? I do not, I fought for certainty. My method may be unconventional, but my goal was pure, a strong marriage without ghosts. Anonymous user 4 says, congratulations, you exorcised the ghost of your ex. Too bad you burned down the whole house in the process. 2 months have passed since Luis canceled the wedding. 2 months of devastating silence. I have read all your comments. You called me selfish, illogical, a traitor. And although a part of me still believes my intention was pure, I have to admit that my method was a disaster. Luis's reaction and yours have shown me that emotional logic does not work like mathematical logic. I decided I had to make one last attempt, not with pleas or tears, but with the only tool I truly understand, logic and data. I spent a week preparing a presentation. Yes, a PowerPoint presentation. It was called Cause and Effect Analysis and Relationship Reconstruction Proposal. In it, I broke everything down. Slide 1. Acknowledgement of the mistake. I admitted that my experiment was a misinterpretation of the concept of trust and that it caused significant damage. Slide 2. Root cause analysis. I explained my insecurity, the ghost of my past relationship, and how my desire for absolute certainty led me to a wrong solution. Slide 3. Results of the experiment. I presented with graphs how the experience had solidified my love for him by 100%, eliminating the X variable from the equation of our future. Slides 4 to 8. Action plan for reconstruction. I proposed a detailed plan, couples therapy, a trust contract with clear communication rules, and a 6-month trial period before setting a new date for the wedding. It was, in my opinion, a masterpiece of responsibility and planning. It was proof that I was willing to do the work. I sent him the presentation by email with the subject, a logical proposal for us. I waited with my heart in my throat, sure that the Luis I knew, the man of plans and solutions, would appreciate the effort. His response arrived the next day. It was not a counter-proposal, it was not an invitation to discuss it, it was a single sentence. Sophia, the fact that you think a PowerPoint presentation can fix this is the ultimate proof that you will never understand what you have broken. Please do not contact me again. I wish you the best. And that was it. My logical attempt to fix an emotional problem was received as further proof of my disconnection, but the worst came later. I found out from a mutual friend that Luis has put the house up for sale. Our house, the one we bought together, the one we decorated, the one that was supposed to be the home of our family. When I asked my friend why, his answer left me frozen. He says it does not feel like a home anymore, that every corner reminds him of the lie. Now I understand. He is not just ending our relationship, he is systematically erasing every proof of our existence. He is demolishing our past, our present, and our future. And all because he cannot get over a mistake that I have already analyzed, processed, and for which I have proposed a viable solution. His reaction is no longer just immature, it is destructive. And I'm the collateral damage of his inability to forgive. Update 2. 10 months later. Almost a year has passed, the house was sold. The wedding is a distant memory, like a movie I saw once. I have spent months in a kind of fog, going to work, seeing my friends, but not really being present. The PowerPoint presentation became a kind of urban legend among my friends, a symbol of my supposed madness. I stopped trying to defend myself. I have been dating a little. Nothing serious. It is difficult. Every time I meet someone I feel like a fraud. Luis's phrase, "I cannot marry an instruction manual," stuck with me. It made me question everything about myself. But a week ago, everything changed. I ran into an old work colleague of Luis at an event. We caught up, and then she dropped the bombshell without knowing the magnitude of what she was saying. "Have you heard about Luis?" she asked me. "He is going to be a dad." I felt the air leave my lungs. She explained that he was dating a girl he met about 6 months ago. Apparently, she got pregnant by accident very quickly, and now they've decided to do the right thing and move in together, start a family. And in that instant, all the guilt, all the shame I had been carrying evaporated and was replaced by an anger so pure and so clear that it was almost liberating. All his rant about broken trust, all his drama about not being able to live with the lie, all his moral superiority for preferring a love that just is and does not need to be tested. It was all a sham. He spent months making me feel like a monster for my one stupid slip-up, a slip-up that ironically I made to be more sure of our future. And what does he do? Less than a year after breaking our 5-year engagement, he gets a near stranger pregnant. Where did his need for absolute trust go? For a solid foundation, for a love that does not need to be tested? He has thrown it all away for a biological accident. He has traded 5 years of history, of love, and of building together for a sudden obligation. Now I see everything clearly. Luis is not a man of principles, he is a man of conveniences. Breaking up with me was the easy way out. It allowed him to escape from an emotionally complex situation, from the hard task of forgiveness, and to come out as the victim. And now, starting a family with this new girl is, again, the easy path. It is what he is supposed to do. He did not leave me because I betrayed him. He left me because I'm complicated. Because I challenged him. Because I presented him with a problem he could not solve with his passive kindness. He fled from me and ran straight to the first situation that gave him a clear and simple script to follow. I no longer feel like the one who broke something valuable. I feel like I have gotten rid of a weak man, a man governed by circumstances and not by his convictions. He did not want a love that was foolproof, like the one I tried to build. He wanted an easy love, and now he has it. I hope it lasts. For my part, I prefer my complicated and lonely truth to a simple and convenient lie.